Alrighty, so week 11, a really important week, just finished last night. Um, sorry, week 10. You think I would get used to my own recording schedule at this point, but I haven't. Such is the way life is sometimes. So actually, I'm recording for week 12. You're probably, and I'm just rolling back to look, the week you just finished was week 10. So, really important week. Anytime we have a lab test, it's a really important week because of the amount of points that it takes in your overall grade. Okay, so one of the things I've really been trying to think about this semester, and I think I may have said this to you, like I haven't, for the last year, I have not been teaching CIT 15. I've been teaching programming classes, and mostly like that's the most of my schedule, but none of the 15. So to be back in a 15 rotation, meaning teaching this class after being away from it for a year, I've been a bit surprised about how many students are actually not participating. So what I'd like to hear, like from you in this reply. Okay, so to be clear, this is what I'm asking from you is like, why do you think this is? Is it just like the change in being online 100% and it's just hard to focus for some students that wanted to take classes in the face-to-face mode? Is it just life has become so overwhelming it's hard to focus on one particular thing? Or are there other things that you can give me feedback on? Because ultimately, here's the thing, in addition to your reply, is like, how could this be better? Right? How could we make, how do you think? Because your feedback as a student is really important. Like, you have the best view to help us figure out how to help you. And sometimes what we're doing is sitting on the other side of the screen, not in your shoes, trying to understand what it is that you need. So I'm asking you, like, what do you think, right? Because you may be, and I suspect this is true, like there's a group of students who do attendance and do the work every week. You're the population that seems to be adapting well to this. But I'm thinking you may have some insight to why we, or maybe I, in this case, I can't say this for everyone, am seeing a pretty low participation in this class. So, again, I appreciate your time. I appreciate those of you that are replying and doing the attendance and reaching out and doing all those things. So I'm curious because the thing is, I want to do better. I think we all want to do better. And so the thing we have to ask is, what can I do to make this a better experience for students taking my classes? And just overall, like one of the things I know for me that I had done when I was teaching 15 that I think I may have said to you is like, I didn't do just one due date a week, mostly because I found that students would only check into the class that one time a week. And so I would do 2 due dates a week to give that student maybe more of a guide for how often to check in and maybe not as much work. What do you think, right? But again, the thing that's important to me is your feedback here. All right, so looking at week 12 that you're coming into, the start here, the attendance video, right? We are covering what is probably my most favorite topic of this semester, which is programming and coding and learning to code and, languages and, kids and programming. And because, as we all know, well, maybe as you feel, right? So much of our world has already, even before COVID, been technology centric, meaning, it's so much of our world can be affected by it and used to implement our work, our play, whatever. So, do you think learning to create some of these things that you deal with every day, like Canvas, like Zoom, like Facebook, like Twitter, like Snapchat, can you see where having a basic understanding of code would be helpful, right? But also, it's kind of like, what is code? What is the thing that I'm learning that I would need to learn to do this? And the truth is, like anything, there's a big, very fundamental, like the basics, learning beyond that, expanding beyond that, and then becoming more professional. Like anything, there's a spectrum of that. And because I teach programming, and in the discussion this week, we're going to talk about code. And, if you are, in this case, think about also younger people and even kids. Like the discussion talks about code.org, which is one of my favorite sites for pointing people who want to learn some very basic code concepts. So have you thought about this? So as I turn to the discussion this week, right, so there's a video here, a little bit older, about code.org, and this is duplicated, and I should have just went into the discussion because it's really this discussion right here about code that I'm talking about, right? So, and it talks about, right, that these are coding are generally good jobs, paying jobs. There are a lot of flexibility. You can work remotely. I mean, right now most people who do coding are working remotely. A large percentage already were, but now many, most are, right? But, and there are different ways to learn these concepts. As a matter of fact, you are going to have something coming up, I think in week 14, that actually I created for all CIT 15 students for getting some basic experience for coding. But for this week, right, just check out the video. And if you have kids, right, or you're interested yourself, like, and then is this something you might enjoy, right? Why or why not? And remember, I'm just going to harp back to last week. Like, this is college level writing, right? Make it substantive, watch the videos, understand the concepts enough to be able to discuss them. So that's the point. And at the end, I actually give I guess some might call it a shameless plug or just a plug for some of the classes that I teach, but I'm not the only one that teaches. I teach, and I list them here, 82, which is let me just give the full plug and then I'll say a little bit more about it. But I teach CIT 82, which is Introduction to Web Development. Good starter class for somebody who thinks maybe I want to learn a little more, not all about coding, more about just the concept of web development. And you have a project for that class. It's an online 9-week 3-unit class. And then for the regular 18-week classes, I also teach JavaScript, which is the most popular programming language for doing web development. I also teach Python, which is highly becoming Python and JavaScript are almost head to head as far as popularity, but many students who want to get into programming will take a Python because it is so heavily used in so many different ways. So those are the classes. And of course, right now, because we're all online, they're all online, but typically I've been teaching programming classes online way before COVID. So, think about, I would love to see some of you consider taking some of my classes. And if you want to know any more about that, let me know. But this week, I really want you to just kind of immerse yourself a little bit in the concept of code, right? Coding, developing, of course, at its more technical level, it's software engineering, right? And there's so many different aspects of that. And just think about, because of the amount of technology you and I use every day and the world uses, can you see where having a basic understanding of this stuff would be helpful, even if it's not a career you plan on being in? So that's my pitch to you. And you all seem to, when you're replying to my weekly start here stuff, say thank you very much and you're welcome. Again, this week I'm asking for something a little different. Like, I'm asking you to help me help figure out what changes I should consider in trying to get more students participating in this class. Is it just a sign of the times? Or is there something you feel could be done? Anyway, thank you very much and have a great week, and I will talk to you soon.